Hi guys, Dave Wilson here again. Now, if you're like me, you probably have a wish list, yeah? A list of tools and equipment that you kind of, you wish for, you hope to buy one day. Well, today I've got something I'd like to show you, something perhaps to go on your wish list. The Pepe Ultra Series rolling mill, which you've seen, but this time the electric powered rolling mill. So, get out your wish list, follow me. This is it, this is the powered mill. It's all fitted onto a base, and we have the control unit, the motor, and this is the Ultra Series rolling mill. It might look slightly different because in front of it we have some guard rails and some feed tables. Now the base is approximately 18 inches long, but the top of the motor does extend a few inches past that, so it's about 19.5, 20 inches clearance that you need. And the depth is 10 inches deep, and there's not really anything that extends back, so I would say about 20 inches by 10 inches, that's the amount of bench space. So that's the first thing that impressed me. It's very compact and it doesn't take up much space. Because they've mounted the motor vertically, they've managed to avoid having a lot of space and bench space taken up. So it's very compact, so that's the first thing. The rolling mill itself is exactly the same as the manual version. This is the 130 mill with the combo rollers, and it's exactly the same as the manual version. So you're getting all the same features and quality, the brass bushings, everything. All the components fit on this base, which is solid machined aluminium, and this has been hard anodised. This is the first thing that impressed me with it. You see, Pepe could have just got a piece of steel, bent it, and then bolted all the components to it. But no, they wanted to reduce weight, so it was a little bit less stress on your bench. So they chose aluminium. Again, they could have just anodised it, painted it, plastic coated it, whatever. But no, it's been given a hard anodised finish. So we've got this beautiful matte black finish, but it's tough, robust, resistant, and it'll help to keep its looks for many years to come. So again, it's just another example of Pepe doing what they do, picking the best materials, the best processes, and the best components to produce the best quality tools that they possibly can. So really nice, good solid base that. At the front here we have a feed table and some safety guards. So let's just zoom in and give you a closer look at this. So the feed table here, it helps to feed your material in, and there's one at the other side which I can't really get the camera around, and that's just flat, and this allows you to feed your material into the rollers very precisely. The thing that I love about this is it helps you to line it up perfectly. And so if we just turn it on, and you can see I'm feeding a piece of wire in there, and that's going into the mill. Yeah. And if I just reach around the other side, it's easy to collect your material at the other side because it lands on the tray at the other side. Vice versa, as your metal comes out of the rollers there, it lands on the table. So these are a real great bonus. Of course, this is an electric power tool now. It's very powerful, it's electric. So we also have the safety fences front and rear. If a problem should occur, you have the emergency stop switch there. Just bash that, and that will instantly kill power to the machine and stop the rollers dead. And just so you're aware of this, you cannot start the machine again accidentally. Okay, in order to start the machine again, you have to twist it, follow the arrows on the top, you need to twist it, and it will pop up, and that will then reactivate the power to the unit. Here we have the control unit. We have three controls on the front here. Over on the right we have an on-off rocker switch. This is illuminated, so up is on, so that powers the unit. It doesn't necessarily make it move, but that supplies the power, and down to switch it off. When it's powered, you'll see the switch is illuminated. So you've got a visual indication there that there is power to the unit. Here we have a speed control. And this is very, very clever. Let's just zoom in, show you this. Now what this dial does, this dial alters effectively the speed at which the roller moves. Now you want it between 50, you see the white mark there? You want it between 50 and 100. So you want it to be around this second half. And the reason for that is it controls the speed of the motor. And the motor also has an integrated fan. So if you run the motor too slow, you're also slowing down the fan. I can tell you that the speed is quite reasonable. It's very easy to manage. It's not going to start flying through at some ridiculous speed. So I usually just run mine on about 90 or 100%, and I find that is a really great manageable speed. The left-hand button here is a rocker switch, and it's important to understand that this has got 3 positions. When level, it's in the stop position, so nothing will happen. So you see the unit is powered, it's at 90%, but nothing is happening at the moment. If you switch up, you'll hear the motor now, and this is in forward. So the rollers will now turn, and they will go away from us. Stop. And then if you put it into reverse mode, the rollers will move and the material will feed towards us, towards the front of the unit. Now I'll just turn you around and I'll just let you have a look at the rollers whilst I activate this, and you'll see something interesting. I've just got a piece of wire on the mill there, and I'm just going to drive it forward, so that means it's going to go in. And watch what happens. You notice it has a slow, delayed start, and I think that is brilliant because it's very safe. It doesn't just fire into action, because that would be very dangerous. That would just snatch the work off you. It doesn't do that. It speeds up slowly and it feeds your material in and then processes it. Likewise, if I switch it to reverse, you see it comes out slowly and then it speeds up. And I think that is a really important safety feature because it avoids it from snatching or firing your work across the workshop. Really good safety feature, that. So inside this unit is a lot of really clever electronics that are varying the speed and the power of the machine. And what this means is that you get consistent power and speed throughout it. So even when the machine's under load, it will continue to work at the same speed. So you're getting a great consistency there, which is something that you wouldn't get with a manual mill. Round the back of the control unit here, this is the motor. This is the thing that's providing the power. And it's quite a large thing, so you're getting a lot of power here. So even when you're working with tough materials and large pieces of silver, it's going to be no problem for it. This produces a lot of torque. And this has got a full cast aluminium housing, so that helps to reduce the weight on your bench. It also acts as a heat sink to keep the motor cool. It has an integrated fan in the top, so the faster the motor works, the faster the fan works. So very important that you keep it clean at the top, to avoid any particles getting into it. And this is really great, powerful, high torque, reliable motor. It's quiet and it's cool. So if I just switch it on, you can hear my voice. To be honest, the greatest sound that you can hear is actually the cooling fan at the top. The motor itself makes very, very little noise. And even when it's connected through the gearboxes and the linkage system to the mill's rolling round now, and you can hear it's actually very quiet. So this can be in a workshop, you can be working away all day. It's not going to cause any disturbance to anybody. It's a very nice, quiet machine. Let's just turn that off. Another thing to note, as I mentioned earlier, is because the motor has been mounted vertically, it means that the whole unit is actually very small and compact. So, you know, if you had this mounted horizontally, it would be twice the size. So you can see I've just got a little bench here. I've not got a great lot of space in my workshop, but this is great. I can still have a powered mill even on such a tiny little bench like this. If you look around the unit, everywhere that you look, you're going to see quality and attention to detail, which is what you've come to expect with Pepe. For example, if you look at this, these are the cables that feed the power into the control unit and then out to the motor. And you can see they're fully armoured with heavy-duty industrial connectors and everything. So you can't see the wire, everything's safe, secure, protected. So, you know, if you bang it, you knock it and that, it's going to be absolutely safe. Just look down here. This is the mounting plate for the motor. Look at the thickness of that. Solid aluminium. And again, look, they've polished it, they've finished it, they've cut the edges perfect. Again, it's Pepe doing what Pepe do. It's this perfect attention to detail. The best materials. In fact, I'm just looking here. The top surface of that aluminium plate is actually machined. I can see the milling marks on it just. You know, it's that precision, that tolerance, that accuracy that they build everything to. It's absolutely staggering. Here I've got a little strip of aluminium. So let's put it through the mill. I'll just talk about some of the features that make it different from a manual one. So let's just feed that in. Exactly the same as always. I'm just going to wind the rollers down till it touches. Take my material out. Quarter of a turn. And then I'm just going to touch it and I'm going to switch it on. So, turn on the mill. Switch on forward and just push the material forward and that will go through. And so because both hands are free, you can position yourself at the front of the machine. If you're using a manual rolling mill, you tend to have to be side on to it because you've got to wind the handle. The unit is incredibly powerful and this will roll material much thicker and much more aggressively than what you could do by hand. Treat it like you would a manual one. Quarter of a turn at a time. Work your material nice and gently and you're going to get nice, good results. Don't try to force things through it because you could potentially cause damage to the gearbox or to the motor. Now, at this point, the more observant of you might be wondering what this handle's for here. It pops off the holder and it's a large, heavy-duty anodised aluminium handle, basically. So what's that for? Well, let me try and demonstrate this for you. As I've explained, you need to treat it like a manual. So just quarter of a turn, reduce your material down gradually in stages. But let's say you try to do something a little bit over adventurous. So we've got a big aluminium bar there, and let's imagine I tried to force that through with the rollers down. Now the fact is that this motor is extremely powerful and it will try to do that for you. It will try to force it through. And if you make that mistake of trying to overdo it, you could get the potential situation where you jam the rollers because you've tried to overdo it. And if you do make that mistake, don't panic. A couple of things you need to do. First of all, stop the power. Turn the unit off. Make sure it's in the stop position, or even take the plug out, so make sure it's completely dead. And what you might find if you've jammed something in the rollers here is you might find that the T-bar on the top is very stiff and difficult to move. So this is where the bar comes in. What you can do is you can use the bar here, the handle, to slip it over the T-bar, and you can use that to free anti-clockwise, and that will free up the T-bar. And once you've just released the tension on it, you can then unscrew it and then remove the offending piece of material. Check your rollers, switch it back on and just roll it with nothing in it and make sure that there's been no damage to the rollers. Once you're happy with everything, proceed. But as I said, bit by bit. Work gradually, treat it like a manual and it'll work perfectly and give you years and years of service. Don't abuse it. And I'd just like to add to that by saying that the handle is there if you should ever need it as an emergency release. It is not to be used for tightening up. Like I say, don't abuse it. Of course, a power mill really comes into its own when you're working with long lengths of material. For example, when you're working wire down. And this is some fine square wire that I've been making. When I used to make this with the manual mill, it was a lot of winding. Remember, with the 4-to-1 gearbox, it's 4 revolutions of the handle for every 1 revolution of the rollers. But now, you see, with the motor, all I do is flick the switch and it will take it through because the guide's here. And I've probably got about 6 feet of wire here, and you can see just in a couple of moments it goes through, it processes it all. No more winding, no more aching arms. So there you go, I highly recommend it. Check out my other videos on the mill to see some projects and some ideas, and consider how this mill will be a part of your workshop. Stick it on your wish list, you won't be disappointed. I've been Dave Wilson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon on the next video. Bye for now.